The Galactic Military Academy's combat training arena smelled like sweat, ozone, and poor life choices. Talia Brennan had learned to recognize that smell. It meant someone was about to do something stupid, and she'd either have to stop them or join them. Today, she was leaning toward option 2. "Positions!" Instructor Drix barked, his mandibles clicking with military precision. The insectoid being had been drilling cadets for 30 cycles and had seen exactly 0 humans before Talia showed up 6 months ago. He was still adjusting. Poorly. Talia moved to her assigned spot, rolling her shoulders. 26 years old, average height for a human woman, with the kind of weathered look that came from growing up in Detroit and serving 2 years in disaster relief zones before the Academy Scouts found her. She'd seen some shit. Space was honestly kind of relaxing by comparison. "Brennan!" A tiny voice squeaked beside her. Talia looked down, way down, at her training partner. Pip was a Quillix, which meant he looked like someone had taken a cotton ball, given it enormous black eyes, stubby limbs, and a perpetual expression of existential dread. His species maxed out at about 3 feet tall and were classified as non-combatants by the Galactic Union, which made it extremely funny that Pip had enrolled in the military academy. Well, funny to everyone except Pip. "I don't think I can do this," Pip whispered, literally vibrating with fear. "You'll be fine," Talia said, not looking at him. "Just stay behind me." "That's against the exercise rules. Pip, stay behind me." There was a reason they'd been assigned as partners. The Academy had a strict rule against inappropriate pack bonding between species, which Talia had immediately violated by adopting Pip like a particularly anxious houseplant. She couldn't help it. The little guy was terrified of everything, desperately wanted to prove himself, and had approximately 0 survival instincts. She'd grown up with a rescue dog that had the same energy. "Begin sparring drill," Drix commanded. The arena erupted into controlled chaos. Cadets from a dozen species paired off, practicing defensive maneuvers that ranged from elegant to "why is that one on fire?" Talia moved through the forms with Pip, keeping him shielded, correcting his stance when he forgot which limb went where. "I'm slowing you down," Pip said miserably. "You're learning. There's a difference." That's when Vorgash decided to make everyone's day worse. The Relaxi cadet was 7 feet of scaled muscle, aggressive posturing, and the personality of a sports car that had achieved sentience and decided to major in bullying. He'd been giving Pip shit since day 1, mostly because Pip was small, scared, and an easy target. Talia had been keeping count of infractions. She was up to 38. Vorgash, accidentally, changed direction mid-drill, shoulder-checking Pip with enough force to send the tiny Quillix flying. Pip hit the wall, with a sound like a pillow meeting a brick. Then he started crying. The arena went quiet. Not completely quiet. Cadets were still sparring, but quiet enough that Talia heard every small, hiccuping sob from across the room. Something in her expression changed. She didn't yell, didn't move, just changed. Other cadets started backing away from her, the ones who'd been at the academy longer, who'd seen what happened when you pushed humans too far. Instructor Drix noticed. His antennae flattened in what Talia had learned was the insectoid equivalent of "oh no." "Cadet Brennan," Drix said carefully. "It was an accident." Talia turned her head slowly, looked directly at Vorgash, who was laughing with his friends. "No, it wasn't." Her voice was calm. Perfectly, dangerously calm. She walked across the arena to where Pip was curled against the wall, trying to make himself even smaller than he already was. Vorgash called out, still laughing. "Weak species should not be in combat programs." Talia knelt beside Pip. "Hey, let me see." "I'm okay." Pip sniffled, which was a blatant lie. His left forelimb was bruised, his eyes were leaking. Quillix cried a lot, it was their stress response. And he was shaking worse than usual. "Medical station, now." "But training?" "Pip, medical. I'll be right back." She helped him up. He weighed maybe 20 pounds and guided him to the side exit where the medical droid was stationed. The droid scanned him. Minor bruising, no serious damage. Recommend rest. Pip looked up at her with those enormous eyes. Talia, please don't. Stay here, she said quietly. I'll be right back. She walked back into the arena. Shrix was calling end of session. Training is concluded for... I'd like to issue a formal challenge, Talia said loudly. Academy dueling rules. Every head in the arena turned. The silence this time was absolute. Shrix's antennae shot straight up. Cadet Brennan, Academy rules state any cadet may challenge another to formal combat if honor has been violated. I'm challenging Cadet Vorgash. Vorgash stopped laughing, looked at her, then started laughing harder. You? Challenge me? Yeah, Talia said flatly. Problem? You are half my size, human. I'm aware. Shrix stepped between them. Cadet Brennan, your species is classified as physically inferior to Relaxi. This challenge is inadvisable. I'm aware of that too, Talia said. That's why this'll be funny. Vorgash's friends were howling now. This was the best entertainment they'd had all cycle. I accept, Vorgash announced, spreading his arms. When the human loses, perhaps she will learn her place. Perhaps, Talia said. Shrix looked like he wanted to argue, but Academy rules were absolute. A formal challenge, once issued and accepted, had to be honored. This is a terrible idea, he muttered, pulling out his comm device to notify the administration. Word spread through the Academy with the speed of really good gossip. Within 10 minutes, the arena was packed. Cadets from every year, every species, filing in to watch the spectacle. The human is challenging Vorgash. This will be over in seconds. Why would she do something so stupid? Pip squeezed back into the arena, trying to reach Talia. Please don't do this! Talia was stretching by the combat circle. It's fine. He's twice your size. So was the bear. Pip's translator struggled with that word. What's a bear? Big furry thing with claws. Fought one in Montana once. Well, not fought exactly. More like survived while running away screaming. But I'm counting it as a win. That doesn't make me feel better. Wasn't trying to make you feel better. I'm trying to make you feel avenged. Betting pools formed immediately. The odds were 50-1 against Talia. One brave soul bet on a human surprise upset, but they were laughed out of the betting circle. Academy officials arrived, looking nervous. Humans were new to the program, only 5 in the entire Academy, and Talia was the first in combat training. They had no data on human fighting capabilities. This was about to become a very educational experience. Vorgash entered the circle, cracking his knuckles. Or whatever the Relaxi equivalent of knuckles was. Scales? Definitely made a cracking sound. Last chance to withdraw, human, he said. I will try not to hurt you too badly. Talia stepped into the circle opposite him, rolled her shoulders one more time, smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who'd grown up in one of Earth's least friendly cities, survived situations that would have killed most species, and had just watched her friend get hurt. The kind of smile that said, I've been looking for an excuse. The referee, a floating orb with entirely too many eyes, announced the rules. Standard Academy combat protocols. Fight ends when one opponent yields, loses consciousness, or leaves the circle. Lethal force prohibited. Maiming discouraged, but not explicitly forbidden. Great, Talia muttered. Love that disclaimer. Fighters ready? Vorgash settled into a combat stance, muscles coiled. Talia just stood there, hands loose at her sides. Begin! The bell rang. Vorgash charged. Talia didn't move, just smiled wider, and thought about how much she was going to enjoy the next 3 minutes. Vorgash's first swing could have taken her head off. Talia ducked under it, stepped left, and watched 7 feet of angry reptilian momentum carry past her. Too slow, she said. He spun, faster than something that size should move, and swung again. She sidestepped. The watching crowd was silent, confused. This wasn't how these fights went. The smaller opponent was supposed to get hit. That was basic physics. Talia was apparently bad at physics. Vorgash had advantages. He was stronger, probably 3 times her strength. Bigger, twice her mass, easy. Natural armor. Those scales could deflect blades. Talia had advantages too. She'd grown up in Detroit. She'd worked disaster zones. She'd survived a bear encounter that technically didn't count as fighting, but absolutely counted as character building. And she had zero chill about pain. Vorgash lunged, claws extended. Talia moved inside his guard, too close for him to get leverage, and drove her knuckles into the soft joint where his arm met his shoulder. He grunted. She was already gone, circling. "Stand still!" Vorgash roared. "That's not how fighting works," Talia said. She'd learned to fight in 3 places, mandatory self-defense classes at 16, 2 years of Krav Maga because Detroit, and 6 months of whatever keeps you alive training during disaster relief operations. None of it was pretty. All of it was effective. Vorgash charged again, predictable, telegraphed, entirely too confident. Talia dropped low, swept his legs. He stumbled but didn't fall. Those reptilian legs had different joint structures than human ones. So she adapted, came up behind him, drove her elbow into the cluster of nerves at the base of his spine. He actually yelped. The crowd murmured. This wasn't right. Humans were supposed to be weak, fragile, non-threatening. Talia was definitely threatening something, mainly Vorgash's ego. "You fight like a coward," he snarled, spinning to face her. "I fight like someone who wants to win," Talia corrected. "There's a difference." 3 minutes into the fight, Vorgash had landed 0 hits. Talia had landed 15, none of them serious. She was pacing herself, targeting points that would hurt but not permanently damage. Joints, nerve clusters, pressure points she'd learned from an anatomy textbook titled Comparative Xenobiology, a medical guide. She'd checked it out from the library specifically to learn where aliens were vulnerable. The librarian had thought she was interested in medicine. She was. Just the trauma kind. "This is not honorable combat," Vorgash shouted, frustrated now, breathing hard. "Academy rules don't mention honor," Talia said, dodging another wild swing. "They mention winning. I'm winning." Pip was watching from the sidelines, all 4 limbs clutching the railing, eyes enormous. Talia caught his gaze for a second, gave him a tiny nod. "I got this." Then Vorgash did something stupid, something desperate, something that changed the tone of the entire fight. He extended his claws, fully extended, the kind meant for killing, not sparring, and lunged for her throat. Against Academy regulations, against every rule of formal combat, against the entire concept of this is supposed to be educational. The referee orb's lights flashed red. "Illegal move! Illegal!" Talia didn't dodge. She caught his arm. Mid-strike, mid-lunge, mid-everything. Her hand closed around his wrist like a vice. The arena went completely silent. Vorgash pulled, actually pulled, using all that superior Relaxi strength. Talia's grip didn't break, her expression didn't change. She just held his arm there, claws inches, from her face, and spoke very quietly. "You hurt my friend." Then she moved. It was a technique from Earth, specifically judo, specifically a throw called SCIFI nage, specifically something she'd learned from a YouTube video during a slow week at the academy. She pivoted, used his momentum, redirected all 7 feet and 300 pounds of angry reptilian. Threw him. Vorgash flew through the air in a perfect arc, crashed into the arena wall, the same wall Pip had hit 30 minutes earlier. The impact made a sound like a gong being hit with a sledgehammer. Vorgash slid down the wall and didn't get up. Poetry. The arena was so quiet, you could hear Pip's stress breathing. The referee orb floated down, scanning Vorgash. Unconscious. Multiple contusions. 2 cracked ribs. Winner, Cadet Brennan. Medical team rushed in, 3 drones and a Quillix medic who took 1 look at Vorgash and immediately called for a stretcher. Talia walked over, knelt beside the unconscious Relaxi. The medical team froze, unsure if she was going to hit him again. She didn't. She just spoke, loud enough for the entire arena to hear. "On Earth, we have a saying, don't start nothing, won't be nothing." Then she stood, turned, and walked back across the arena to where Pip was still clutching the railing. Every eye in the building followed her. She stopped in front of Pip. "You okay?" Pip's translator struggled with the sounds coming out of him, possibly sobbing, possibly laughing, definitely overwhelmed. You just, yeah. But he's twice your size. Was, Talia corrected. Past tense, he's currently unconscious. Instructor Zrix approached, all his legs moving in confused synchronization. Cadet Brennan, you won. Yeah. Against a Relaxi warrior. Yep. In 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Was it that long? Felt shorter. Zrix's antennae were doing things that probably meant he was having several emotions at once. This will require extensive documentation. Cool. Can I go now? I have a paper due. You have a... Zrix's translator glitched. You just defeated a warrior twice your size in single combat and you're concerned about a paper? It's worth 30% of my grade. The watching crowd was still silent, still processing. Some were staring at Talia like she'd grown a second head. Others were staring at Vorgash, still unconscious against the wall. A few were recalculating every assumption they'd ever made about humans. The betting pools were in chaos. The one person who'd bet on Talia was currently being carried out on the shoulders of newfound friends. Pip finally found his voice. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, I did. But you could have been hurt. Pip. Talia looked at him directly. He hurt you. That's not okay. Someone had to make that clear. But, no buts. You're my friend. That's what friends do. Pip's enormous eyes started leaking again. Happy tears this time. Talia sighed and patted his fuzzy head. Come on, let's get out of here before they ask me to fill out forms. Too late. Zrix was already pulling up holographic paperwork. There are 17 forms required after a formal challenge. Email them to me, Talia said, already walking toward the exit with Pip trotting beside her. Behind them, the medical team loaded Vorgash onto a stretcher. Behind them, the crowd finally found their voices, erupting into arguments about what they'd just witnessed. Behind them, the Academy's communication system lit up with priority messages. And in the Commandant's office, an emergency meeting was already being scheduled. Subject: Human Protective Behavior, Threat Level Assessment. Meanwhile, in the Relaxi sector of campus, Vorgash's clan was receiving news of the fight. They were not pleased. A blood feud was formally declared within the hour, because apparently the day wasn't dramatic enough already. Talia made it back to her quarters, helped Pip to his bunk, and sat down at her desk, pulled up the paper she'd mentioned. Comparative analysis of defensive strategies across Terran and non-Terran species. She'd written most of it already. Just needed a conclusion. She typed, in summary, Earth's high-threat environment has produced survival strategies that translate effectively to controlled combat scenarios, even when facing physically superior opponents. Paused. Added, also don't mess with humans when they're protecting their friends. We get weird about it. Deleted that last part. Saved the file. Her comm device buzzed. Message from the Commandant's office. Cadet Brennan, your presence is required at 0800 tomorrow for emergency review board. She stared at it. Looked at Pip, who was already asleep, curled into a ball, looking significantly less stressed than he had 6 hours ago. Looked back at the message, typed back, will there be breakfast? The response came immediately. This is a serious matter. So is breakfast. No response to that. Talia set an alarm, turned off the lights, and went to sleep. Tomorrow was going to be a long day. But at least Pip was safe. That was all that mattered. Well, that and breakfast. Priorities. The emergency review board convened at 800. There was no breakfast. Talia was already annoyed. The Commandant's conference room was packed. Academy officials, xenobiology researchers, military advisors. A floating orb that she was pretty sure was just there to take notes. And everyone looked nervous. Cadet Brennan, Commandant Threll began. A four-armed amphibious being who normally projected calm authority, but currently looked like he was reconsidering every life choice. We need to discuss yesterday's incident. The fight I won? The fight where you defeated a Relaxi warrior in 3 minutes. 3 minutes and 20 seconds, Talia corrected. Let's be accurate. One of the xenobiology researchers, a crystalline being named Dr. Quaz, pulled up holographic footage of the fight. We've analyzed the combat recording, Quaz said. All 4 of her optical sensors focused on Talia. Frame by frame, measuring force, velocity, impact points. Sounds boring. It was revelatory. Quaz zoomed in on a moment where Talia had struck Vorgash's shoulder joint. This strike, you held back. Talia shrugged. Didn't want to permanently damage him. Just wanted him unconscious. But you could have permanently damaged him. I mean, yeah. Humans can kill with our bare hands. It's not that special. Every being in the room went very still. Excuse me, Commandant Threll said slowly. Bare hands, killing. We can do that. I thought you knew. Your species profile lists you as non-threatening, a military advisor said, pulling up a file. Physical capabilities rated below galactic average. Below average doesn't mean harmless, Talia pointed out. Just means we're not winning arm wrestling competitions against Relaxi. Doesn't mean we can't fight. Dr. Quaz was frantically typing notes. You're saying humans have lethal capabilities without weapons? Have you met humans? We're from a death world. Everything there is trying to kill us. We evolved countermeasures. Such as? Talia counted on her fingers. Endurance hunting. We can literally chase prey until it dies of exhaustion. Thrown projectiles. Humans have better accuracy than most species. Tool use. We make weapons out of basically anything. Pattern recognition. We can predict movement and adapt. And spite. Lots of spite. Spite is not a biological advantage. You've clearly never met someone from Detroit. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared. A communication officer rushed in. Commandant, the Relaxi clan has arrived. How many? 12 warriors, full battle gear, demanding audience. Commandant Threll's skin changed to a distressed purple. This is escalating faster than I anticipated. They relocated to the main assembly hall. 12 Relaxi warriors stood in formation, led by a massive scarred veteran whose armor looked like it had survived several wars. I am clan leader Thrax, he announced. We demand justice for the unprovoked attack on our kinsman Vorgash. Actually, Commandant Threll said carefully, Vorgash attacked first. Irrelevant. He was humiliated. Our honor demands satisfaction. Your honor demands he not slam tiny aliens into walls, Talia muttered. Thrax's eyes fixed on her. The human speaks. You dare show your face after shaming our warrior? He challenged me to a duel. I won. That's how duels work. We demand trial by combat. Oh no. Talia knew where this was going. Academy rules stated that any clan could challenge for honor restoration. And if challenged, the Academy was required to accept or face accusations of harboring cowards. Bureaucracy was terrible everywhere, apparently. Fine, Commandant Threll said, looking exhausted. Trial by combat. Cadet Brennan versus... Which warrior will represent your clan? Thrax smiled. Not a nice smile. All of us. Silence. I'm sorry, Threll said. The human will face all 12 of us, simultaneously. If she survives, honor is satisfied. That's not... You can't... Threll sputtered. That violates every principle of fair combat. It is within our traditional rights. This is insane, Dr. Quaz whispered. Yeah, Talia agreed. Everyone turned to look at her. I mean, it's stupid because I'll just fight them all at once. Saves time. The room froze. Pip, who'd been hiding behind Talia, made a sound like a tea kettle achieving consciousness. Talia, no. Talia, yes. You can't fight 12 warriors. Sure I can. Did you see the last fight? I had him handled in 3 minutes. 12 times 3 is 36 minutes. I can spare 36 minutes. That's not how math works, Commandant Threll leaned forward. Cadet Brennan, you want to fight 12 Relaxi warriors simultaneously? I mean, I don't want to, but they started it. Thrax's translator struggled with his growl. She mocks us. I'm really not. I'm just being efficient. 12 individual fights would take forever. This way we're done by lunch. You cannot be serious. I'm extremely serious. Also, I'm still annoyed about the breakfast situation. There is no breakfast, Threll shouted. We are discussing a blood feud. Could have done both. Pip was having what looked like a full panic attack. Other cadets were holding him back before he could throw himself at Talia's legs. This is madness, Kaz said. This is tradition, Thrax countered. The human accepts our terms? Talia looked at him. At his warriors. At their armor and weapons and general aura of, we're going to hurt you. Looked at Pip, still crying in the corner. Remembered him hitting that wall. Yeah, I accept. The event was scheduled for the next day. Word spread faster than physics should allow. Within 6 hours, every cadet in the academy knew. Within 8, neighboring systems were tuning in. Within 12, the Galactic News Network had sent a broadcast crew. Human cadet to face 12 warriors in trial by combat was trending across 17 systems. The betting pools reopened. This time, some bets were on Talia. Not many, but some. The xenobiology department set up research stations around the arena. They were taking this very seriously as a unique opportunity to study human combat capabilities. Talia spent the evening in her quarters, eating rehydrated pasta and reviewing anatomy charts. Pip sat beside her, still shaking. You don't have to do this. Yeah, I do. But why? Because they hurt you. And they think they can intimidate humans by grouping up. She tapped one of the anatomy charts. They're about to learn why that's a bad idea. What if you lose? I won't. But what if... Pip. Talia looked at him. I survived Detroit. I survived disaster zones. I once fought a raccoon for a sandwich at 2 a.m. behind a gas station. I'm not losing to a dozen angry lizards. That doesn't make me feel better. It should. I won the sandwich. The next day arrived with the inevitability of bad decisions. The arena was packed beyond capacity. Cadets, officials, researchers, and about 40 journalists who'd somehow gotten press passes. Talia entered the combat circle wearing her standard training suit. No armor, no weapons, just her and the terrible choices that led to this moment. 12 Relaxi warriors entered opposite her, fully armored, carrying ceremonial combat blades. They looked like an army. Talia looked like she'd rather be literally anywhere else. Pip was in the stands, physically restrained by 6 other cadets who were taking turns holding him back. The betting pools closed. Final odds, 8-1 against Talia. Clan leader Thrax stepped forward. Last chance, human. Apologize. Admit weakness. We may show mercy. Talia looked at Pip in the stands, remembered him crying, looked back at Thrax. No. The referee orb floated down. This is highly irregular. Standard rules apply. Fight continues until one side yields or is unable to continue. Try not to die. Inspiring, Talia muttered. Begin. The 12 warriors moved as one, encircling her, cutting off escape routes. Standard pack tactics. Very intimidating. Would have worked on most species. Talia had other ideas. She moved first, not away, but toward the nearest warrior. Inside his guard, strike to the throat. He dropped. The circle collapsed inward. She was already moving, flowing between them like water through rocks. Strike, dodge, redirect, strike again. Every movement calculated, every hit precise. She wasn't trying to kill them, just remove them from combat. And she was very, very good at it. The fight lasted 8 minutes. 8 minutes of Talia dismantling a dozen warriors with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. Who'd survived worse. Who had absolutely zero patience for bullies. One by one, they fell. Joint locks, pressure points, throws that used their own weight against them. By minute 5, half were down. By minute 7, only 3 remained standing. By minute 8, it was over. Talia stood in the center of the arena, breathing hard, surrounded by unconscious Relaxi warriors. Not one of them dead. Not one permanently injured. Just defeated. The arena was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then everyone was clapping. Even the researchers. Pip broke free from his restrainers and ran into the arena, throwing himself at Talia. She caught him. "Hey, I'm okay." "You fought 12 warriors." "Yep." "And won." "Also, yep." The medical teams rushed in, checking the fallen Relaxi. All alive, all recoverable, all deeply unconscious. Clan leader Thrax watched from the entrance, expression unreadable. Then he did something unexpected. He bowed. "Honor is satisfied. The human has proven her strength." "Great," Talia said. "Can I go now?" And in offices across the galaxy, alerts were going off. Human defeats 12 warriors in single combat. Reassess threat. Classification? Recommend immediate species review. The Galactic News Network headline scrolled across 1,000,000 screens. Human cadet defeats 12 warriors. Is this species classified correctly? And in 3 different systems, military leaders were watching the footage, making calculations, issuing challenges. Because if one human could do this, what could humans do as a group? They needed to know. Pip was still clinging to Talia. "Can we go home now?" "Yeah, let's go home." Behind them, Dr. Kaz was frantically updating human classification files. Behind them, the Academy was trying to process what they'd just witnessed. Behind them, the galaxy was about to learn a very important lesson about humans. Don't hurt their friends. They get weird about it. The Galactic Council chamber was even more intimidating than the arena. Talia decided that was saying something. Representatives from 40 species sat in concentric rings, all staring down at her like she was a particularly interesting bacteria sample. "Cadet Brennan," the council speaker began, a gaseous entity that communicated through color shifts and really aggressive body language. "We need to understand human combat capabilities." Talia shifted in her seat. "It's really not that special. You defeated 12 trained warriors. They weren't that trained. Lots of openings. Predictable attack patterns. No adaptation when strategies failed." The speaker's colors flickered nervously. "Your species file classifies humans as non-threatening." "We are non-threatening," Talia said, "until you threaten our friends. Then we're very threatening." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. "Explain," another council member demanded. "A crystalline being with too many angles. Humans bond. With each other, with other species, with basically anything that shows us consistent positive interaction. We call them friends. And when friends are threatened, we respond. With violence? With protection. Sometimes protection looks like violence." "This bonding," the speaker said slowly. "Is it a biological imperative?" "More like a social one. We evolved as pack animals. Cooperation kept us alive. Protecting the group kept the group alive. It's just what we do." Dr. Kaz stood from the research section. "Are you saying humans are essentially sleeper agents? Peaceful until a bonding trigger activates combat protocols?" "I'm saying we're loyal," Talia corrected. "Not programmed, just loyal." "That's somehow more concerning," a military advisor muttered. They called Pip next. The tiny Quillix waddled, to the testimony platform, shaking so hard his entire body vibrated. "Cadet Pip," the speaker said, trying for gentleness and achieving something closer to, vaguely, less terrifying. "Do you feel threatened by Cadet Brennan?" "No," Pip's voice cracked. "She's my best friend. But she's capable of extreme violence. Only to people who hurt her friends. That's concerning." Pip's fear was being slowly replaced by something else, something that looked like indignation. "Why?" he demanded, voice getting steadier. "You hurt someone's friend. You should be concerned." The council shifted uncomfortably. "On my world," Pip continued, gaining confidence, "we have a concept called mutual protection. When someone helps you, you owe them loyalty. Talia protected me when no one else would. She's earned my loyalty forever." "This loyalty," Dr. Kaz said, taking frantic notes, "is it contractual?" "It's friendship," Pip said. "It's caring about someone. It's standing up for them when they need help. Why is this confusing?" The council looked at each other. Slowly, something clicked. Humans didn't fight for honor. or territory, or resources. They fought for each other, which meant every human was a potential combat threat if their friends were harmed. And humans bonded with everything. This changes our threat assessment considerably, the speaker said. 3 days of deliberations later, the council reconvened. We have reached a decision, the speaker announced. Humanity will be reclassified. Talia waited. From non-threatening to conditionally peaceful. What does that mean? It means, the speaker said, humans will not initiate conflict, but response to harm against bonded individuals is assessed as disproportionate and devastating. Talia considered this. That's fair. New academy policies were implemented immediately. Do not harm humans or their bonded companions. Humans may bond with any species, inanimate object, or conceptual idea. Harming a human's bonded companion may result in rapid and aggressive human response. Talia read the new guidelines and shrugged. Could have just been nice from the start. She was required to attend human behavior counseling, basically therapy to help aliens understand why she did things. First session, the counselor asked about Earth. Talia described bears, sharks, and Australia. The counselor, a gentle herbivore species, had a visible breakdown. You evolved on a death world, the counselor said, and still developed friendship? Because of the death world, Talia corrected. Friends keep you alive. That's beautiful and terrifying. That's humanity. 6 months later, graduation day arrived. Talia graduated with honors in combat strategy. Pip graduated top of his xenobiology class. They were assigned to the same ship. The academy had learned not to separate bonded humans. Vorgash and his entire clan attended the ceremony. They approached Talia formally, ceremonially. We did not understand human protective instinct, clan leader Thrax said. We apologize for our ignorance. Just don't hurt my friends, Talia said. We would not dare. The ship was a mid-size exploration vessel. Diverse crew. Mixed species. Talia and Pip boarded together, carrying their gear. The captain, a nervous avian with twitchy feathers, met them at the airlock. Cadet Brennan. We have Quillix. Crew members. Great. I like Quillix. And some Relaxi. That's fine. As long as everyone's nice. The captain visibly relaxed. Pip whispered. They're afraid of you. Good, Talia whispered back. Makes our job easier. In the Galactic Council chambers, new posters hung on every wall. Human behavioral warning. Do not harm their companions. They bond with anything. Anything. Below the text, photos. Talia and Pip. Talia and Gerald the murder lizard from a previous incident. Talia and a potted plant that 3 witnesses swore she talked to regularly. A junior council member stared at the poster. We should never have let humans bond with other species. Too late, another replied. They've bonded with 17 species in 6 months. What do we do? Hope they never bond with our enemies. Somewhere in deep space, Talia's ship completed its first jump. In her quarters, she'd already started a small garden. 3 plants. Named them all. Pip watched from the doorway. You're doing it again. They need encouragement. They're plants. They're doing their best. Pip sighed, content and confused in equal measure. The galaxy had learned an important lesson about humans. Several lessons, actually. Don't hurt their friends. They bond with everything. And once bonded, they're absolutely, completely, wonderfully unstoppable. Some species found this terrifying. Others found it inspiring. Most just made sure to be very, very nice to whatever the humans liked. It was safer that way. Talia watered her plants and smiled. She'd come a long way from Detroit, but some things never changed. Protect your friends, fight when necessary, and always, always name your plants. The galaxy could deal with it.